So, Mark Connaughton of Class Kicks, welcome to. This is kind of the sponsors show. It's a new feature we have here about kind of talking about how we might um, encourage other people, clubs, affiliates, teams to talk about sponsorship and collaboration with various local brands or whatever. And ourselves, we've decided we've known each other for quite a while now, and so we've decided to collaborate and encourage others to see how it might work and work together towards vibrating this community. So, welcome on board and tell us a bit about Class Kicks and your story so far.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex. My name is Mark Connaughton, and I've been a coach for the last 13, 14 years now in Ireland and the USA. And while I was over in the USA in 2019, I was coaching a kid, and he was 12 years old, and he was really struggling um, to do a basic skill, basically. And I was just really tired as a coach, and I'm sure there's a few coaches watching this. You're constantly having to go down and touch every part of the foot that you want the kid to use. So if you're using the inside, you'd be using the inside for passing. The top of the inside can be used for shooting, and constantly going down and touching different parts of the feet. So I was like, okay, it's got to be an easier way to help kids develop and get better at football. And we came up with the idea of Class Kicks football boots. So, Class Kicks football boots have different colors on them in different sections. So, instead of saying to a kid, can use the top of the inside to do a Cruyff turn or shoot with the top of the inside or the top of the outside, we can now just say pass with green, shoot with blue, and then in soccer, don't kick with your toe with red. So here's a little example of our boot. You have the green, the blue, the red, and all the different colors. So it's a little tool that helps simplify the game. But when I was starting that, it was very difficult. I didn't know where to start. So I had the idea in 2019, went home, started drawing pictures of football boots. That's how I originally started in California. And then I was like, oh, this is a really good idea. How do I protect this straight away? So this is a mistake I made, and I thought I had to protect the idea straight away. So I started ringing the patent office in America, and I was like, I have a good idea. What do I do here? But having learned over the last few years, that's the completely wrong way to go about it. What you actually need to do is see if people want your product, develop a business model. And I was able to do that when I came back to Ireland, and I went through a program called New Frontiers that are really helpful through Enterprise Ireland. And that's actually the first thing you do. Don't worry about protecting it first. Develop, test, test, test. Show the kids, see what they designs they like. See everything for our product is all about the kids. It doesn't really matter what I like. It's all about what the kids like.
Yeah, and that brings me on to that entrepreneurial journey there. That when I first came across your boots, I was going up a side street, Rat Mines, came across a OK Sports, this kind of shop that to be honest with you, I didn't even know existed. It's kind of a quirky sports shop, to say the least. It sells all types of, game cards and um, dice and things like that. But I saw this pair of boots in the window, and they screamed out at me in terms of innovation, and I just went straight in, and that's where our relationship started. I then went up and seen one of your academy sessions and seen your skills with the nursery. I think that's the term, kind of the nursery level. The introduction to football, the interesting pirate games, the the knowledge that you obviously displayed there in term and experience in terms of um bringing stories into the training session to keep them engaged, and that experience there has led to this, the design. And one of the things that I'm interested in hearing a little bit about is, what does it feel like, you know in that journey when you're designing something? And I have to say now, I think the design is very good. The branding is very good. The boots look really good. It's not, it's almost like it's very, very professional. How did you get, what was the journey to get it to that stage? it, it's very strong. I can't imagine that you got it right first time.
Absolutely did not get it right the first time. So as I said, I was drawing pictures myself of football boots and what sections needed to be highlighted. But then after I realized I wasn't very good at art, I decided to get a designer on board. And the designer, I actually reached out on social media just to see if there's anybody that I knew that was a designer. And there was a girl called Lorna who used to be in my college course. I went to Sligo IT and studied up there, did business and sport. And she reached out to me and she was kind enough to do up 8 different designs of football boots. Now, I have my heart set on one particular design. And I was like, this is going to be a design. This is cool. But then I was doing a summer camp in 2020 and I decided to show the kids the 8 designs. So I was dead certain this is going to be the design. This is the one the kids are going to pick. But I haven't learned through my course. I need to actually show the kids and see what they like. So I presented them the 8 different designs and I asked them to mark out their first, their favorite, their second favorite, and their third favorite. And I think there was like 100 kids on that camp. So I did it with all the kids under 10, our products for kids under 10. And then we came to the dots design. So the dots is the one that they liked the best. And my favorite design came fourth. So it didn't even make the top 3. So again, that just shows how important testing your product is before you start. Because I would have started with my favorite based on what I thought, but actually what I learned is doesn't really matter what I think at all. It's all about what the kids, because they're the people that are going to be in the shop looking at the products. And yeah, definitely didn't get it right the first time. But then something we did after we got our dots design is then we compared it against Nike and Adidas boots and Pink and O'Neill's and everything. And we wanted to see if our boots would finish in the top 3 versus 8 different boots. And they came first once and third twice. So against Nike, the girls seemed to like the pink boots, but then some girls didn't like the pink boots at all. So we were able to say, okay, they're in the top 3 out of 8, 9, 10 designs there. So that was validation to me that okay, time to proceed. And then I suppose ways that I can explain mistakes that I made. So we had to get the samples in of the boots then to start off, and it was really important that the quality was good of the boot. That was so important, and it was representing me as well. And obviously, the people that will be buying it saying, "Oh, they're Mark's boots and they're class kicks." So it was really important to get it correct. So we got it wrong 7 times. So again, I was getting boots made over. I don't want to say the C word, COVID,
Yeah.
but that allowed me to slow down. So every time I got it wrong, it cost me 30 days time. So then I have to try and find a new supplier, and just the quality wasn't right. But then the 8th time, we got the boots in. They were comfortable. That was so important to be comfortable. There's some boots out there in the shops that we sell our products in, and there's no cushion on them at all. They're literally really skinny, like give you blisters kind of thing. I'm sure you've got blisters in your feet before, and I have as well. But yeah, 8th time lucky, we were able to get the boots in, and then we started with 300 boots last May, and it was kind of difficult to get into the shops at the start. That was another thing that was quite difficult because nobody wants to be the first one to take a risk. But
Yeah,
now
while you're on that, no, let me go back to that afterwards. Go on, can continue.
Yeah, no, I suppose my journey, there's a local sports shop in Mullingar. So I was like, okay, I've seen this shop for years. I've been passing it for years. It's called Sports Outlet. And so I went in with my product and in our nice box and with the color guide that goes in and the training videos. And I explained to him how it worked. And he was kind enough to give us an opportunity. So I think he took like 10 bears to start off. And I was absolutely delighted. So that was the first time I actually visited a shop and presenting my products. So I was absolutely delighted. Like every time I would get my boots into a new shop, I'd be delighted, like little fist pump. I'd be like celebrating as if I scored a goal, because it's so important. And then in that town, then the kids have a chance to actually wear boots that make a difference, and that's just great for me. And then the second shop that we had was online. So I really just told them about the product. I wasn't really trying to sell it at the time, and he decided he wanted to take some off me. So that was the first instances. But I just want to tell you this one now. There is up in Navan. They're one of our best shops at the moment. They're always ordering more class kicks, and it's going really well. But at the start, they were just not having it. They were just not having it. They didn't want to take the risk, basically, of bringing in new boots when they had other boots already. But I kind of just like didn't take no for an answer. I was like, come on, give me an opportunity, please. Like, they took them in. They're selling really well now, and they're one of my best customers. So if you're starting out a journey and somebody says no, doesn't really mean no. You just have to kind of show them the benefits and just be persistent. Be persistent is so important, I think.
Well, especially when you have such a good idea, and especially when you have something that's bringing value to people. So there's two things that I mean, you've almost explained it very well there, but and in certain ways, it's interesting that you got so much information from the final consumer ahead of getting information from your retail consumer.
Mm,
That's an interesting thing, and you know what? Sometimes the retail consumer doesn't know themselves what the final consumer really wants. So in
mm,
fact, your research was probably the most important research that you did, because the decisions are going to be made by the kids that are walking around at eye level, at that eye level in the shop, looking at it, and they're the ones that I like that. And so that's a wonderful lesson for others to learn from you. Um, but now, we can safely say, we can announce that you now in how many shops are holding your boots now?
yeah, 43 shops around Ireland at the moment, which is great, and it's a bit easier to to get into new shops when you have 43 stockists as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic news. And one other thing as well, one of the things that I seen in the design is there's a texture on the boot, which is a lovely detail. I mean, that didn't need to happen. And when I seen it, I just thought it was a real attention to detail. And texture is a very, very important thing. I mean, for that type of detail, as well, I know um you've got like Astro type, the rubber soles as well as the studs,
Yeah.
and you also have Velcro, and even the laces that you have are grippy laces. So I noticed that as well. That's really
Mm,
important. So many laces in football boots, as many parents know out there, are actually not even they don't even stay tied. They slip. They're slippy laces. So they're grippy laces. But the little dots at the side, they kind of stand out. They're slightly raised off the skin of the boot, and
mm.
that I think adds a lovely texture, especially for children, because children, they love things. They love touching things. You know what I mean? They're very, very tactile at that stage in their life, and that is the type of thing that they'll remember on their boot, I feel. Can you tell us a little bit about that part, and where how it went from, let's say, being a print on a boot to a little something that was slightly raised and gave that texture?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think when people see them online, they wouldn't realize that the dots are raised, and the boot would probably feel differently to how they'd imagined that it would feel. So the reason that we went from normal print to what's called offset print is because we know that in Ireland the weather isn't fantastic and the boots are going to get mucky. So if we had the normal print on the boots, the muck would cover the colors where we want the kids to be able to see which section is which. So with our offset print and where the dots are raised, if the boots do get mucky, the muck goes around the dots and you can still see the colors. And since 20, like we officially launched 2022 in May, I've seen a lot of really dirty Class Kicks football boots from a year ago, but you can still see the colors, which is fantastic. And that's one big thing for Ireland, especially because the weather, you never know what weather you're going to get. But that was something we worked on from getting all the wrong samples. So every time we got it wrong, we were learning new things about the boots. I was focused on the outside. I wanted to make them cool so they didn't highlight that you're a beginner. And then my partner was saying, "Yeah, but they need to be comfortable." And I was like, "Oh yeah, let's work on the inside now." So we have 1 centimeter of mesh cushion on the inside for the boot for the kids. And I remember there was one girl up in Terranure, and she wore her first ever pair of Class Kicks football boots, her first pair of football boots ever. And she was like, "Oh, it's like walking on pillows." So I think we got the comfort part right there. But the level of detail that goes into a boot when you're making it, I don't think people realize. Even choosing the correct soles for the bottom, we had to test out those. We had to actually give like 8 to 10 pairs of boots at the start for the kids to test to make sure that they were durable. So many things that go into making a boot that I don't know if people realize how difficult it is. And when I was at the start of my journey and I had this idea, I used to be keeping it real secret. I didn't want anybody to know because I thought it was such a great idea. And I was like, "Oh, I better not say too much here." But now I'm saying, look, here's Class Kicks. If you want to copy it, go ahead. It's so hard. It's so difficult, the
Yeah.
journey. And we obviously have our designs protected and stuff like that. But yeah, if anyone
So,
wants to go and make football boots, go ahead. It's very difficult.
exactly. Yeah, that is the big lesson that copying an idea is one thing, making it happen is another, and
Mhm.
the type of determination that entrepreneurs like yourself have is not just about, the financial success of the company. It's really about working to bring value in a sector that you love, that you're
Mm.
dedicated to and feel passionate about. Um,